Hello, my name is Ryan Harper, and today we're here on a Reporter's Notebook, and we have a special guest here today. And she was the one that trained me for the position I have now. She's multi-talented, and I cannot wait to show you who it is. Let's take a look.
Hello.
Oh, now, for those who do not know, this is Emily Cervarich. She was a digital reporter and on-air reporter. Super talented with being in front of the camera, behind the camera. Do you mind introducing yourself to the audience?
Sure. Thanks so much, Ryan. That was really sweet. So I was at WNCT for a little over 2.5 years. I left in October of 2022 and have since, transitioned into something else. But yeah, I really loved my time here at WNCT, and it's super exciting to be back and see some new faces and see what everyone's been up to. So thank you so much for inviting me on, Ryan.
Yeah, anytime. I mean, it feels like it hasn't been that long.
I know.
It feels like it's been forever since the last time you was here. When you first got here, she's actually also the former host of Digital Reporter. So now I'm just here to take over the new reins, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous.
Doing awesome.
But she makes this first venture back into this program easy. So you was here before I was. What was it like coming into Channel 9 and reporting the news? Was it overwhelming?
Yeah, I would say it was a little bit of, nerves and excitement. A little bit of my backstory, I did not go to school for journalism or broadcasting or anything. I was actually a political science major. So I interned here at WNCT one summer and then ended up coming back to the news director, Bernie, and was like, hey, I think I really want to do this. What can I do? So he sent me with a digital kit and was like, go shoot some stories. I'd never done that before. So I kind of just made it up as I went and figured it out as I went along and brought some things back to him. And he was like, yeah, we'll take a chance on you. And so I really knew nothing going into this. I didn't know basic terminology like VO and B-roll and things like that. So I kind of, learned everything here at WNCT, and it was, a really awesome process to get to see. And I still sometimes look back at some of my first stories and then kind of the stories that I finished on back in 2022, and the growth is really, really awesome to watch. And I think a lot of reporters see that growth, especially in their first station.
Yeah, I mean, you could do everything, and you made it look effortless. And that's what I'm trying to be like. I've been here since 2022, and and now it's like a full year, but it feels like there's been no time since I first started here. And I'm always trying to do better on the next story, and I always feel like there's something that's a good quality to have, because you have to want to tell a proper story. Absolutely. And with you were both a digital reporter and a on-air talent. What was the difference between those two positions?
Yeah, so I'd say the biggest difference was two things, actually. I'd say kind of the turnover rate. So with digital reporting, you get a lot more time to kind of make them almost like passion projects, I like to call them a little bit, was you really got to find these niche stories that you were super interested in and that you thought, a niche group would be interested in for our website, like, pumpkin patches or haunted houses or kind of, fun things to do for the family on the weekend, things like that. So these fun niche, passion projects that we got to work on, and we got to take a little bit longer working on those, which was really awesome because we got to kind of include all the really juicy, fun parts that we wanted to, because for on air, a lot of the time, the longest you can do is 1:45 seconds. So you end up sometimes having to cut things that you really think are super awesome or really cool for the story. With digital, you get to include all of that. We could do 3-4-minute videos. And so that was a really fun aspect, to just be as creative as you wanted to be and kind of just creative dump into these projects.
Now, I always try to tell people, whenever you're working at the news station, it's not really hard to, we have these amazing coworkers who have all these talents and abilities, and it's easy to become a fan of their work because you see how hard they work, the research that goes into the projects, and you become a fan of, you're basically another viewer like everybody else, even though they're, literally right across the aisle from you. So What in your like what stories have you worked on that made you stand out, or something that was your favorite, so to speak?
Ooh, yeah, definitely the community spotlight type stories. So I remember one of I think like my first very two stories that I ever did were this high school student who his family didn't have means of transportation during the summer for him to do classwork. So he was literally walking like 2 miles to school every single day and back
Oh
home
wow.
just to get Wi-Fi to do his, summer work.
Hmm.
So that was like stories like that. And then, I did a story about a 70-year-old man here in the local area who ended up going back to ECU and getting his diploma as part of his bucket list.
Right.
Stories like that, obviously doing like hurricane coverage and some of the political stories that we kind of dive into, those can be really interesting. But I really think those community spotlight stories where you get to highlight really amazing people in the community and it kind of brings everyone together, shows the positive light of what's going on right here in our own community. And those were the ones that I really strive to find every single week because
Hmm.
I want to see positive things and be reminded of the good that's out there. And I know viewers do too. So, yeah.
Right. I mean, with earlier I mentioned that you were, the last host of the Reporter's Notebook, and what was that like to take on that project? Because it's one of those kind of things where you can get to know the reporters that you see on TV every day, and you get to hear the stories that they just worked on. How was that? Because I saw some of the ones that you did with Cheyenne Pagan and Claire Millay, and they were just so interesting. What was that like?
Those were so fun. Reporters' notebooks were always one of my favorite things that we got to do, favorite segments, because like
Hmm.
you said, it really was like we're having just like a back and forth fun conversation. It's lighthearted, it's candid, there's no stress or pressure of it. And it
Right.
really is, what did you do today? What was exciting and fun about your story today? Why did you choose this story? And I think finding those reasons kind of brings that personality back or that personalness back to some of the stories that we cover, because a lot of the
Hmm.
time the news can be very hard hitting news and sometimes very upsetting things. So to
Right.
have that opportunity to bring our reporters in and just chit chat back and forth and get to laugh about our days and enjoy the moment and figure out what about this story did you want to cover? How did you go about doing this? I think is a really cool way to let our viewers see, what goes into those stories and how passionate,
Hmm.
your local reporters really are. So that was one of my favorite segments to get to do.
Now, it's one of those kind of things where you find that appreciation for
Mhm.
everything that people do, and especially here, it's because being digital and then being a reporter on air. I remember just seeing you on air. Like there's days where you go out, you shoot, then you come back, and then as soon as you come back in, you type out your stories, you do the voiceovers, and then 10 minutes later you're on air. And I was like, I'll be sweating bullets. I don't know if I could do that. And you did it to the point where it was just, to me, I consider it like effortless.
Thank
So,
you.
I always try to tell people, since I'm a fan of my coworkers' work, you do good. And, it's just one of those kind of things I always want to let people know. Now, the other thing is going to be, you was here for what, 2.5 years, right?
Mhm.
So, what is something that, well, actually, I can show y'all. It would be easier for me to show you. I sort of kind of showed it earlier, but here's like you with dogs. I know that you love
Yeah.
animals, and some of the other things that I saw were, we did a segment called Summer Ventures,
Yes.
and it was pretty amazing. We get to go to all these locations, showcase these locations. And what was one of your favorite ones that we did?
I think the one, honestly, you're showing right now at the tree houses was
Right.
epic. That
Yeah.
was so awesome. We just got to showcase and highlight some of the really unique and awesome like adventure locations to check out here in Eastern North Carolina. And that was just
Hmm.
so cool because, I've lived here in the area for like 8 years and some of these places I had no idea about. And so getting
Same.
to check them out for the first time and have that
Hmm.
same like raw excitement that you're expecting the viewers to have is really cool. I mean, those, oh my gosh, those were so fun to just Yeah, we just got so creative with
Yes.
those. Those were so awesome.
Yeah, and just all the animals I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
too, because now I'm seeing, oh yeah, there's like
Clearly my
cows, that was really fun. But now it's again, you've left. It hasn't felt like it's been forever, and it feels like it's been yesterday. Then it feels like it's been a year. What has life been like for you since you left Channel 9?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely goes back and forth. Some days I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be at WNCT tomorrow. And then like other days I'm like, wow, like I feel like I haven't talked to everybody in so long. I feel like I haven't seen everybody. So it definitely goes back and forth. But since I left, I've actually, I work for a YouTube channel now doing pre-production. So that's been super awesome. And I actually surprisingly have really been able to utilize my news skills, which
Right.
I was really shocked at. And that was super awesome to see how those skills transferred over. So, and also kind of some of my like theater skills from when I was a kid. So that's been really fun getting to do that and kind of seeing more of the behind the scenes aspect of that. I've been really, really enjoying it.
Great. And my last question for you is going to be, what is some advice that you want to give to people who are going to see this segment and want to know, like, what advice should they know about reporting on air or being a digital reporter?
I say find kind of like a niche that you're passionate about. Obviously in reporting, you cover every story under the sun. You'll cover crime, you'll cover politics, you'll cover community feel-good stories, but try to find something that you're really passionate about. Maybe you're really passionate about, city council meetings and what city leaders are discussing each week. Maybe you're super passionate, kind of like me, about, the Humane Society and
Right.
stories about animals and things like that. Find something that kind of like drives that passion even further so that you're constantly looking for those stories that you're like, oh my God, like that you're excited about. Because when you're excited about it, the viewers can see that as well. And I'd say really just taking a chance on yourself, bet on yourself. That's kind of what I had to do. And that's what our news
Right.
director, Bernie, did, was take a chance on me. And really just if you're passionate about something, news or otherwise, just go for it. Just say, you know what do I have to do to be, a desirable hire in your eyes? What can I do to better myself? You ask those questions. It might be hard sometimes, but negative or positive feedback is feedback, and it'll help you along the way. So I definitely think, ask those hard questions. Ask,
Right.
What can I do to make myself better? What can I do to be a desirable hire, like I said, and find those niche things that keep driving that passion forward.
Great. Well, I don't think I could say anything better than that. Thank you so much for coming in and, catching up and educating us about everything, and honestly, it's just nice to see you again.
You too. Oh my gosh, I know. We had a big hug when we first saw each other
Yes.
this morning. So it's been awesome saying hi to everyone.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much,
Yeah,
and
thank
I'll
you.
be talking to you soon.